Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Talking Shirt. The series that I'm recording is talking to friends, basically, but also creatives and sort of inspirational people in the football scene and across the world. And today I'm joined by one of my best friends and by far the most talented in the scene that I know, Daniel Cappellaro, also known as D10. How are you, mate?
How am I going? It's an interesting time. It's an interesting time. I know you said, yeah, we're going to get to the COVID stuff. But really, I'm just super happy to have my health, to still be able to train, to still be able to do coaching. And, the rest of the time we're pretty much staying at home, but it's nice to be able to do things like this and to link with people such as yourself. You know, we've had a lot of phone conversations. We talk about football all the time. And I suppose I'm lucky to have people like yourself that, we can reach out to other than just family as well, to talk about whatever we want to talk about. But it is a trying time. And I'm hoping, all the fingers are crossed, we do these ones too. I'm hoping that it passes much sooner than it is forecast, shall we say, because everything's forecast, yeah. I don't think anyone really knows. So I'm hoping that it passes sooner than it's forecast.
I know not only is it tough times for businesses, you teaching a lot of the youth of tomorrow, the talent, but it's also tough for you to even just express and go out there and create sort of stuff for yourself, but, share your sort of situation with the world, with social media that we have the connection. But during lockdown number one, you were in beautiful sunny Perth, and now you're stuck in cold Melbourne. I think when it comes to emotional and just like physical, just feeling motivated, I think Melbourne's a bit of a downer. It would have been nice to still be in Perth.
Look, the only thing I miss from Perth, apart from the weather is what it is, The only thing I miss is clearly family, Like, it's always nice to, at the end of the day, have dinner with your family or sit with your family. And I think that's what everyone's missing at the moment as well, even in Melbourne. Like, we're only allowed to have, I don't think you can have any visitors, actually. It's only like just immediate family members that are allowed around to your house. I could be wrong about that. I don't keep up with all that kind of stuff. I mean, I pretty much kicked myself during this COVID time. But that's what I miss most from Perth. And more so, I'm concerned with my mom. For those people that don't know, my dad passed away on the 26th of January this year, at the start of the year. He was completely fine, healthy, and then had a pain in his back, which come through to his chest, and they found a tear in his aorta. And then 16 days later, he'd come out of hospital in that time and then gone back in, rushed back in. 16 days later, he went in for a surgery and never woke up. So dealing with that, and then also with coronavirus, when it did all kick off, not that we made the choice to stay, because like state borders closed and everything pretty much like limited down, community football stopped. So everything was still up in the air. Like even Diana as well, her job closed because they were like half kind of beauty. And so that stuff got closed as well. So people were like, I suppose, yeah, we were, you're in that confusion state. And I think, coming back here in June, I was happy to stay home and be there with mom, because of everything that had happened at the start of the year. And then coming back here in June, things started to look good. And then you had to be back in it again. That's more what I miss, man, is just being able to be there with family. But look, in Western Australia, they're very happy right now. They just had, I think, 30,000 people at a footy game. So yeah, my concern in terms of their mental health or having someone around is not there, but it was great in that moment to be there for mum,
For sure, dude. And when it comes to hanging out with family and being with friends, I know it's tough for myself. I can't even see my family, but also just hanging out with you and going to the park and having a kick. It's just that social connection where you can have with a friend, also just to allow to yourself to debrief with someone and talk about your sort of feelings. It's a bit of a hold up when you stay at home all day.
Yeah, of course. Well, I remember even when so when you came and have that kick with us, we could still go to cafes, and they could have a limit of 20. And that feels like it was maybe a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago that we did that. And then all of a sudden it was just like, bang, straight on the lockdown. And from going to what felt normal, because it still wasn't super normal, but it felt normal in a way, to now going back to where we are currently, where it's like stage 3.999999 reoccurring. Because it's stage 4 is obviously everyone at home and you don't leave, only for colds, that's it, and only one person can go. So to be in this position now, where they're really holding off from that, for whatever reason, they have their reasons. In the space of 2 weeks, it's I think it is quite confronting, because it was great to even just go and just, shoot some crossbars and do whatever we were doing. Because we took the photos and that, but we had
some of us hit the crossbar.
All of us, you got a skimmer.
But I think that's the best part about the industry that we're in as football, inspired people. When football came back, the Bundesliga and the Korean League, we had some sort of escape. We were able to watch football at early mornings or late afternoons. And having that discussion of, who played when and who scored what, I think that was the best part of, even us two, but other people that we know, we can send a message and be like, yeah, hey, did you watch the game? And I think the best part about football and sports in general, when that came back during the lockdowns, it's allowed us to connect again. Do you agree?
Yeah, 100%. 100% it's allowed us to connect again. It's allowed us to connect, I suppose. Are you saying in terms of with football coming back, or in terms
just
of
on the TV, the media? I'm able to say, "Hey Dan, did you watch the game? Did you see Barca lose the trophy?" Stuff like that. Just topics that we can connect, because during the lockdown there wasn't really much to talk about.
No, there wasn't, and people, there's only so many replays and classic matches you could watch, and I think when I was back in Perth, I love the 90s era. Right, I love 90s football. I'm 86 born, so I started playing football in 95, 96. So for me, 1998 was the most, what can I say? It's the most
influential,
that's it. It was a World Cup that had the most influence on me. It's also the year in which had most influence. That and 96, we Euro 96, France 98, in between that time. I went back and I started watching all the goals from Euro 96, highlights packages, matches and stuff, because UEFA were putting them all up. And I watched a few documentaries around the France 98. I also started just YouTubing Brazil 97, 98 and watching that team play, because all my favorite players, obviously people know they're Brazilian footballers. I love that style. I love that culture. I love that freedom that they play with. But there's only so much of that you can do. And then I remember when Borussia Dortmund, I think they played the first game. I think it was the first European live game, because K-League kicked off before that. So I watched a bit of K-League, but Borussia Dortmund was that first game. And then, it gave you talking points. It gave you something to message and say, hey, are you watching this? Are you watching Julian Brandt? Are you watching Erling Haaland? Those were two standout players that I saw in that first match. And I still remember that now. And I remember where I was. I remember where I was sitting, because it was so strange. First of all, it was strange that you hadn't seen football in so long, because even in the off seasons, we've always got football. There's always something happening, it's either a transfer news, or there is a friendly, or there's, Champions Cup, or there's a international tournament, or there's always something. There was nothing for maybe 2 months. And to have that talking point again was awesome. And I think one of the greatest things, this is another point. No, one of the greatest things to come out of this is, if people haven't realized it already, then I feel like we should start to wake up to it. And this is my humble opinion. Football, as much as we look at stats, as much as we look at wins, trophies, being the best, it's entertainment. And with the fans gone from the stadiums, the game has a completely different dynamic. Whether it's good or not, I leave that for debate because that's not for me to say. But I prefer the stadium to be filled with people. When it's filled with people, the game is completely different.
Of course.
You know? And okay, they're playing competitively. They're playing for points. They're playing to win. They're still, you know, like it's exactly the same, but without the fans,
it's a big difference.
It loses that shine.
There's almost a science behind it. I think that someone could work on the players' emotions, but also heart rate and stuff. Because, for example, you're playing the Milan derby or you're playing against Juventus and you score a goal. Who do you celebrate? Who do you go? It's just one of those things. And I remember even playing amateur football, you know, just scoring a goal and running over to the opposing fans. It's that energy of you saying, hey, guess what? I scored against you. But also, you know, if you're on the pitch and you've taken the ball, nutmeg someone, you almost feel that enjoyment of the fans clapping or saying, great pass. So I think when it comes to a professional level, the fans add that, you know, emotion, and it allows the players sometimes to be so drawn away from the fans. Like they just get, you know, they're like standing in front of 30, 40,000 people and they forget where they are and who they are. But playing to an empty stadium, I'm sure some of the players are like, this is just a training game, you know, almost like a practice match.
100%. So there's two other things that I'll talk about on that. The 12th man, there's no home and away games right now. You're just playing in a stadium. You know, there's no 12th man. There's no feeling of like, oh my God, like
that's
when you walk into a place. Yeah, you don't feel like maybe you'd feel that that pre-game anxiety because you still want to play well. But there's no way that you would feel that buzz and that the, you know, hairs on the back of your neck when you get that away support. You know, there's no one booing you, there's none of that anymore. And the second one that I was going to talk about, which has eluded me. Oh man, what was I gonna, so we're talking about the fans. Milestones. So players who've had 100 games, players who play 150, players who, like for instance, when Kevin De Bruyne equaled Thierry Henry's assists, right? There would have been like a standing ovation, a round of applause from all the fans because it's like an outstanding season. A guard of honor for the winners. There's only like, you know, a handful of people, 25 people doing that at max. So whereas it would have been 70,000 before or 40,000 and they're all standing clapping like that, to have your achievement in this time, it kind of sucks, you know, like it does. It's pulled away a bit.
It does. And I think, you know, taking that away from what we have in the situation of pandemic we're just growing as a humanity and society. And I hope that once everything slowly comes back to what we had at some sort of level, I do hope players and also fans appreciate it more. You know, looking at the A-League and local football here, you know, we don't see that many people, no matter what team we can talk about, like compared to what Europe has, you know, the Balkans or even in Asia, some of the games I've seen in the J-League, like the fans need to appreciate what they've had and what they've lost now. So hopefully that's a big turnaround for human or just society, because we lost something that we were so grateful for, and now we've noticed that how important it is to us, you know, and that's something about. It's just something about life. Sometimes when you have it, you don't know that how lucky you are. And that's probably a good segue to go to the next segment and discuss how we came about to meet each other, because I'll be honest, I'm so honored to have made a friend like you. And it was an unusual way because I remember playing Fifa Street as a young kid on PlayStation. And then one day I rock up to this
young kid.
Well, I'm probably like 4 years difference to you, playing the game, and then coming to this event, and I was like, wait, you're D10? Like I remember we had our names on our back, and I was like, you're D10. Meeting you at that event, and then now
you thought to yourself, I thought you were much taller in real life, you know. I thought you were much fitter.
And the funny thing is, they put us in the same side, and like you've got this random photographer and this Fifa Street freestyler / footballer / futsal player, professional futsal player, and then you got me, and you passed the ball to me, I remember, and I tried doing some sort of trick, and I was like, nah, I'm gonna embarrass myself. But mate, I have to say thank you so much for, you know, all these years and having that connection as a mate. But tell me, how has life been for you starting? Let's just start from the start. how did you become influenced? Now you talked about the early 90s football, but what made you become so in love with football?
I used to play basketball. From the age of 6 to 8, I played basketball, and I loved basketball. Both my parents played basketball. I was watching them play basketball all the time. And then when I was 8 years old, we made a family trip to Italy to visit my dad's side of the family, those relatives. And I had a cousin who actually, it's interesting you say this, I've just made contact with him again. I had not spoken to him since I was 8 years old. And then with my dad passing, he wanted to grab my number and we started talking again. And I've just thanked him as well. I've said, thank you so much for everything you did at that time. And he was playing in Serie C2, I believe it was C2. So he was playing for his local town, C2. He was a professional player for many years. He gave me a bag. He gave my brother one as well with like a ball in a shirt, shorts, kit, training kit. Like we got loads of stuff and it was just really cool. It was like Christmas, and that there had a lasting effect on me. Not just him giving us all the team gear, but we went to watch one of his games. And I remember my dad explaining, saying, oh, we're going to watch, Gianni is his name. We're going to watch Gianni. He's got a game today. And because they'd explained that Serie C2, it was like A, B, C, C2, like this. My dad goes, yeah, I think he's in 4th division or whatever, And we got there and I still remember going through the turnstile. Yeah, going through the turnstile and just how many people were there. And I remember my mum and dad actually feeling quite scared, They were like, hey, hold our hands, don't go anywhere because there was that many people. Yeah, and obviously, like, you got to remember, this is like 1994. So at that time, there was no internet and things like this. So you just had people say things about, like young kids or Europe or whatever. And my parents would lose their mind, So it was 1994 and we were at this game and there's people everywhere. And when it kicked off, there was just that noise and the atmosphere for an hour and a half. Yeah. And people, when the announcer came over, everyone would go deathly silent and they'd talk over the speaker and they'd listen. Everyone was listening. As soon as it finished, everyone talking again, everyone chatting. Oh, wow. And whether it was about the game or whether it was about whatever, it's like the importance of this match, the information, the players, the result, everything in that moment was super high for these people, super high. And that, the atmosphere just caught me. And then since basically that match, first thing I asked, even when we were in Italy, because we were there for another 8 weeks after that, I asked for a soccer ball and I stopped practicing basketball and I started kicking a soccer ball around, kicking it against the wall, just playing against myself, basically. Same as I do now, 34 years old, just playing against myself on the balcony. And, then I came back to Australia. And I remember it being hard for me as well to say this to mom and dad. But I said, I don't want to play basketball anymore. I said, I want to quit. And then, they were like, oh, you can play 2 sports. And I was like, no, I don't want to. I want to play soccer. And that was it. And I went to school and they had like on our pin board, Armadale City Soccer Club. And there was another one called Kelmscott Roos. And I picked up both and I looked at them. Armadale trained twice a week. Kelmscott Roos trained once. So I went to Armadale. I was like, I want to play as much soccer as possible. That's good. That was it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it's the small influences like that get you. And how old were you when you were in Italy?
8.
8. So 8 and now you're
34.
So the fact that you remember that is a massive.
Yeah.
Like for me, my first early football experiences was, I think it was Iran, Australia. Was it Iran or Iraq that made us lose the World Cup qualification at MCG?
Yeah, Iran.
Yeah, so I remember being at that game. I don't know how old, I can't remember exactly. I got to do the maths, but the moment we lost the game, I still have this thought in my head, and the way you explained your memory brought that back to me. And it's crazy how, as a young kid, you have those memories. So it is important, and I think for a lot of people understand that early on, it's not just an influence, but it's also like the sound, the sight, and it's just everything as an environment that does influence you to love something so much. And it's good to see that, you know, football does do that to you.
What you're saying about that feeling that football gives you, for the people that are watching this and listening, try this next time you're in a stadium, because I've got 4 or 5 songs that take me back to a moment where I'm sitting in a stadium. Now, there's a song by Mark Anthony called Vivir la Vida, or Vivir mi Vida, which means like living my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked this song when I was in Barcelona. And when I went to the Camp Nou, yeah, it's okay. You told me to keep talking, so I just went. So I'll start from Mark Anthony, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So
no, continue.
Song from Mark Anthony called Vivir mi Vida. And when I was playing futsal in Barcelona, I went to the Camp Nou twice to watch Barcelona play. I'd always wanted to. Neymar was playing for them at that time. And it was a Champions League match against Man City. I still remember the score. I remember who scored. I remember the game, everything, where we sat. And at about 60 minutes, I just put my headphones in and I listened to the whole song and just looked around. Now, if I close my eyes and I listen to that song, I can go right back to that moment. And like, if you haven't done that before, go and do it. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it at Amy Park, but that's not the best example, you know, like, because you're there all the time, you know, especially if you live in Melbourne. So when you've got the big game, like a good one to do would have been Brazil, Argentina, because we don't have that every day. You know, I'm talking about those kind of moments. And when you do that, that song will always take you back there. And I think that's
true.
That kind of feeling that you're talking about in '98, the one that I said that like sparked my whole passion for football, it's exactly that same kind of feeling. You know, it's very similar.
And the best part about memories as well is also the smell of fresh grass when you used to play early morning football, or if it was a foggy morning or rainy morning, and just going to the training sessions as a kid and remembering that sort of freshly cut grass. That was a good memory. And then as you got older, it was usually like DP and Tiger Balm and Vicks Vapor Rub in your chest.
That's why
it's just those, I miss those memories, you know?
Yeah. When you said that, that's why I like kind of rolled my eyes, because I was like, all I remember is being freezing cold, you know, in that moment.
Yeah,
and I was in Perth. Yeah, I was in Perth, so it wasn't that cold.
Days, I know. We had colder mornings in Melbourne. So from the school and the young age, did you play just local football, then join a senior level? And I think you went to Perth Glory at a young age as well.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't play for Perth Glory. Is that what you're saying? I coached for them. I worked in the community, and the way that happened, that was actually quite a journey just to even work within, because I worked as a community development officer. It was called Perth Glory in the community. So we would visit schools, we would promote the team. I did some after school programs. We also had like an elite level program that we would run on Sundays. So I was just always coaching. That was actually the turning point as to when I stopped playing outdoor football, 11 aside, and I focused more on futsal and my coaching. And I'll get to that. But yeah, basically I went from playing all the way up till about 24, 25 years old. I had some opportunities with futsal. I'd already been coaching. I coached with Football West. I coached with other private academies, private providers. And then I decided, you know, I want to make football my job. And if I can't play, then I want to be able to coach, or I want to be able to be involved in sports marketing, or I want to be able to, you know, manage a center or something like that, you know, like wherever I was going to go and wherever my journey was going to land or finish, or the opportunities that came my way, I was going to take them. So I went to university. I studied sport, recreation, and management. I don't have a degree. Yeah, let's not get it twisted. I went there for a year and a half. During that time, I did a 50-hour prac with Perth Glory, a practicum. So I was doing the coaching and stuff, and I got offered a job straight away after that. So then I went and I packed uni in. I don't really like studying. Yeah, not that. Look, education is very important, But when you know what you want to do and you're passionate about what you want to do, I feel like you should always follow that. You know, you should not just push yourself and endure through things that, you know, you're not 100% in, you know. And I had to be honest with myself, because I didn't want to make the time to study. Yeah, that's more to the point, because you can always make time for everything. So I didn't want to make the time to study, so I packed it in. I started working for Perth Glory, and I worked for Perth Glory for about, I think it was, I reckon from 2010 to about the end of 2013. And that was with the practicum and everything else involved, you know, like with building up from a part-time basis to a full-time basis, etc.
And when you got to that later stages of your career, from the grass sort of outdoor football and moving to the court futsal, where was the part where you started your journey as D10?
So, yeah, it's a good one. I actually saw a online competition that was won by Tom Rogic.
Oh, no way.
So I had a Facebook page created for that online competition, because it was said that you need a Facebook page.
Was that the Nike one?
Yes, athlete? It was. Yeah, the chance.
I remember that because my brother was a part of it. Wow, I forgot about that.
Yeah. So it was if you were in Perth, Western Australia, it was hard, because I don't believe they held trials there. I got an invite.
You had to go to Perth. You had to go to Adelaide.
Yes, that's right. So you had to fly. Now I got an invite to say, hey, you know, you've been selected, this and that. Like, it's like a normal Nike email. So you go there, and there could have been like 1,000 guys there. But I made that Facebook page. And then after making that Facebook page, I reckon this would have been 2009 or 2009, I would have done that.
Yep.
Prior to that, I had MySpace, and I was already uploading futsal videos and things like this. In 2007, I traveled to Amsterdam for street football, and I ended up training with a futsal team there called ZVV Terbeek, which was in their futsal Eredivisie. Futsal is very different from football. People need to understand that straight away. So even though players may be paid in a team, they also have other jobs. They either coach, or they're doing, you know, something else, or they're working here and there. That is generally the case, unless you are Falcao, Ricardinho, one of those players. So I was lucky that I had a lot of my background. I had coaching, I had my sports management that I'd done, I had my my experiences with Perth Glory, Football West, you know, that other stuff. But in terms of social media, I started that properly in 2006. And I say properly because you can't really put a date on it. Like, I was making videos and stuff, but 2006 is the oldest video you can find on my YouTube.
Wow.
And that is, I entered another competition called Where's the Next Ronaldinho? So from that, I started getting all the emails and stuff like, hey, you know, here's this one for the next, here's this one for the chance, here's this.
Yeah.
And I saw the one for the chance, and I was actually watching a guy called Brian Marsa. Now, this is a guy from, I want to say Norway. I want to say, he's Norwegian. Oh, no, he could be Norwegian or Danish. I actually got to have a look. I got to check. But his name's Brian Marsa. And at that time, I was watching Brian Marsa, and he was a Swedish player. And you can go and look at his YouTube and Facebook now. He stopped. I don't know why he stopped, but he didn't want to do it anymore. But he had like 20,000 likes or followers back in 2008 or 2009. Like, that was huge for that time. And his YouTube videos were getting like over 100,000 views. A lot of people were on his social media. He got selected for the chance. He went to England. He trained with the guys. I think he was selected to train with the Nike Academy as well at one stage. And I saw this as an opportunity. So I made, you know, the Facebook page. And this was off the back of like, where's the next Ronaldinho, you know, that kind of stuff. So while doing this, I kept putting up futsal highlights. I kept putting up my street football skills and my freestyle moves and stuff like that. And because your original question was, when did I decide that football was that, and
when did
I'm going to
D10?
go futsal, yeah. So in 2007, I told you I went for street football. I actually had a video from a Dutch website called ACCA Magazine. Anyone who's in the street football community will know about ACCA Magazine and the profiling of those players. So like all the street legends, some that you see in FIFA 20 Volta now, and the ones that were in FIFA Street with myself in 2012, we'll get to that. They were profiled heavily on this website, and I saw this website and they reached out to me initially because I started putting up stuff on YouTube. And I think it was also at a time when no one looked at likes, no one looked at views, no one looked at subscribers. Everyone was just like, you know, if you could do something cool on a court and it was in front of someone, or you could do it like on a pitch, then it was cool. It was good. You know, people left comments, people interacted, and there was also forums. So you'd go to a forum, you post your video, and everyone would leave comments under there. So these guys interact with me. They sent me a message on a forum. I sent them a video, and they did this write-up about this kid in Australia, you know, 20 years old, 19 years old, that's doing the same moves as these guys in Holland. And let's be honest, my level was nowhere near their level. Like, these guys are like 30. They would be my age now. So I was like 34. I'm 34 now. They would have been like 33, 34. And they, you know, there's this 19-year-old in Western Australia, Perth, doing these skills. So it was very cool. And then from that, I got a sponsorship with Masters of the Game. It was apparel only. They gave me a whole lot of apparel. Masters of the Game is based in Amsterdam. I went there. I trained with Edward Van Gils. Most people know who Edward Van Gils is. And I was there for about 4 to 5 months. And then I came home. Then I had some other opportunities with another street football apparel brand. It didn't eventuate. And I was told, and I wouldn't say promised, because it's just all hearsay, you know, like someone tells you something and you keep doing it because that's the carrot, you know. And I was told that there was going to be great reward for wearing their gear, promoting this and that. It didn't eventuate. 2009, 2010, I had a sponsorship with Pele Sports Australia. So that begun. I started working with Pele Sports. I was actually on Fox 8 Football Superstar. Do you know that? And they, man, the episode was like, you can look at it two ways. I was happy just to be there and doing things, but they tried to make it almost like, I felt like they told a story like, you know, these skills don't work in a game, and just because you're skillful doesn't mean you're a good player and stuff like this. At that time, it didn't bother me. Like, I don't know. I look back at it now and I'm like, really? Like they made an episode like that? Yeah. I don't know.
That whole show,
anyway,
that entire show, that entire show needs an episode in the future, like us debunking it, because a lot of what they said really destroyed emotionally, like a lot of those athletes, because you try to see where a lot of them are now, mate. Was it 1 season or 2 seasons? I'm not sure if it was 2 seasons. I know it was one. I don't know. But Football Superstar, that tragically,
the thing is, it was a time in where reality TV shows were very, very new to the world. You know,
it was
so
raw,
you didn't know,
and they didn't know the legal ways of treating people, because as we see, a lot of those reality shows have caused a lot of emotional impact on talent after they leave. Yeah.
Well, you know, there's I think the ones in England are a great case with like Love Island and these other, you know, reality TV shows. But anyway,
on a football basis, judging your skills and then saying that,
yeah, you know, so like, I don't know. And even when I got back to Perth, some people said to me, hey, you know, was pretty mean. And I said, don't worry about it. You know, like, it is what it is. Like, what can I do now? And plus, people would see me on there. So it helped me in that way anyway. And then,
so were you D10 at the time still, or still Daniel Cappellaro?
No, I'm not sure actually. Maybe I was D10 by that time. Maybe I was Daniel 10 freestyle. That's what it could have been.
Yeah.
Because yes, I was using D10, but I only really started D10 football in 2010. So I thought, look, I want to do my own coaching. I'm making videos anyway. And I started it. I was like, yeah, look, this is what I'm going to do. And I based myself all on 1v1 skills, the skills combos you see me doing now, tricks, you know, all that kind of stuff. First touch, and yeah, that's what I like most about the game. So that's what I feel like I coach. And then in it would have been the end of 2011, I went to a futsal tournament with a team called JJ United, which plays now, or doesn't play now, but used to play in the West Australian State Futsal League. And that was at the end of 2011. In 2010, I signed with Pele Sports Australia. So I was sponsored by them from 2010 to 2014, which was nice, man. I loved getting all the gear, you know. And at that time, getting apparel was great. You know, it was awesome because no one really understood like the power, I think, of social media or what influencers actually gave. Like, I didn't understand the value of the likes and views and comments and engagement. I didn't understand that. So for me, I was like, oh my days, you know, new boots, shirts. I don't know why I said oh my days. I don't really say that, you know. I say sometimes I do. But I was like, oh my God, this is awesome, you know, like all the gear, I loved it. And I had I had Brazilian players on it, you know, I had like Pele, or I had Didi, or I had some with Garrincha, you know, and that was and I had a number 10 with stars. That was cool. So, man, we digressed a lot here. But 2011, I went to this futsal tournament in Cairns, and there was a team from Argentina there. We played against them. We watched them play.
An Argentinian
Cairns,
team in
man.
Cairns.
Bro, do you know, like, the stadium in Cairns is amazing. The stadium in Cairns, at that time, I've never been since, right? In 2011, it was new. We went. It was awesome. And we were playing in front of, like, maybe, I would say, I don't want to be overzealous, so I'm going to say maybe 80 people, right? Because all the teams would stay and play. If you played early in the day, you're playing in front of, like, 20 people. At night, you're playing in front of 80 people. We played the Argentinian team at night. We didn't win. We lost 2-0. But I was always prepared to show what I had, you know, to put myself out there. And if it meant that I was going to mess up, if it meant that I was going to get, you know, like cut, or if it meant that I was going to be on the bench, so be it, you know. So I went out there, I played the way I play. And then after the tournament, we got talking, and the coach, they had like a couple players who could speak English, but the coach came over and he took a photo with me and they chatted a bit. And he said, look, if you ever want to come to Argentina, you know, you're more than welcome. We'd love to have you. You can play with us. Come at this time. We've got these games, tournaments. We'll look after you when you're here. And I was like, great. And that was like one of my first, I would say, big international trips. And I only went for like 2.5 months, 3 months, you know. I only went for a short amount of time. So I went for that, came back. When I came back from Argentina, Fifa Street launched. And that's when things really began to change. So not only did Fifa Street come out, but I think having the opportunity to work with Perth Glory helped a lot. You know, it was amazing. It gave me a point of contact with like Jacob Burns, Shane Smelt, Steve McGarry, Michael Garcia, like even Richie Garcia, you know, like just to be able to sit and talk with them and ask them things. Like it was super cool. I really enjoyed that, you know, and I'm not afraid to say that, man. Like I love talking to players about player things and about their experiences and what it was like when they did this or did that or how they felt in a certain moment. Like that for me is what football is all about, really. That it's the stories you can tell. FIFA Street came out, Glory. At the end of 2012, I went to USA. I played in San Francisco with the AFA Australian futsal team, and we played in the Pacific Cup. So we played against USA, Mexico, and I think New Zealand. There's a New Zealand team, or maybe it was just a Tri-Nations, I think. I can't remember exactly, but we won that as well. So we won that Pacific Cup. Then 2013 came around. I started Cambio Cumbre. And by this time, 2012 was my last season outdoor. And the reason being, so this is now, I've built that whole background story. Man, I'm telling stories like my mum here, you know, telling you about this person's dog and my auntie over here and this, like, end of 2012, I just finished the season with Western Knights. I play for Western Knights, which is like NPL. I'd had maybe 3 or 4 starts in the first team. I got to that season, I got to play again, which was, that now it's cool, but those guys were young at that time. And I played against, because they were playing for like the National Training Center. So I only got like 3 or 4 starts in the first team. And the reason being is I'd build momentum and I do well in the reserve. And then when I got my chance, I'd play maybe once or twice, and then I would go away. And I was going away for either FIFA Street things. I had the Argentina thing. I missed all pre-season because of Argentina. When the Australia team opportunity came up with AFA, and there was other little things in between, like where I'd go away and I'd do something with Trickstar Football, who's owned by Paul Harvey. He lives here in Melbourne as well. That was like our events thing at the moment. So I'd go away, and then when I'd come back, I'd be on the bench, the reserve, and I'd have to try and work myself in again. It's like all of what you'd done had been forgotten for the sake of 2 weeks or for the sake of a week, And I think the reason I only got the opportunity to play that last season is because my previous season, like if you miss a preseason, there's no way they're going to re-sign you. I got re-signed because I had obviously a valid reason not to be there at the preseason. But also I think they knew me, from playing the season before. So it got to that point, and I was like, what am I going to do? Because I want to play football. I want to play futsal. I want to coach. Coaching was every single evening. We had like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. There was either elite programs Tuesday, Thursday, or I was running my own program called Glory Skills on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then on the weekend, on Sunday, there was also the elite program games. So I had to make a choice. And I thought, look, I can keep pushing my outdoor football and keep chasing that dream, or I can put myself into futsal. I have FIFA Street. I have this the skills brand. People already know me as that street footballer.
So moving away from grass as your terrain of choice for football, how did things then change to the harder courts of futsal?
I was playing for Western Knights at the time. Plus I was coaching, and I was at university studying sport recreation management, and I was also playing futsal. Now, prior to this decision, so this was 2012 when I made this decision. Prior to this decision, I'd already had travel opportunities, as I spoke about, in 2007 in Amsterdam and 2011-12 in Argentina. I'd been away with the AFA Australian team, and FIFA Street had also come out. So
that's right.
I basically had football, futsal that I was trying to train for and play, coaching, which was every single night of the week, bar Saturday, or day of the week, and then university on top of that. University, I ended up giving away. I stopped. What was it, like two semesters in? Mm-hmm. I stopped because I got my job with the Perth Glory full time, and that was working in sport recreation management. I decided to give away football because I'd had my opportunities in futsal, and I thought that it would lead to further things in my career.
Of course,
I wasn't really getting the opportunities in football that I felt I deserved. Whether that is wrong or right, I felt I deserved more, and I wasn't getting it. However, I was getting opportunities to travel, which I'd always wanted, from futsal. So I gave football away, I took on coaching full time, and I threw myself right into the futsal.
Yeah, and that's the thing when it comes to playing on either court, like it's always about the future you see in front of you as well, because you could have stuck to playing outdoor and then missed out on the entire sort of future that you had with the court, because D10 then came about with FIFA Street, and that sort of grew alongside the internet and social media world that we currently live in now. We're so beneficial to, but now we spoke over time as mates, from early days as friends to now, and the experiences that you had overseas. Now, do you like this? Let's talk pre FIFA Street, a couple of years or so. Was that when you traveled around the world and played futsal in different parts of the world and enjoyed the experiences, or was that sort of the lead up after the FIFA Street experience?
That happened. I went to Amsterdam in 2007. At the start or the end of 2011 and start of 2012, I went to Argentina. Then FIFA Street came out. And then
the whole thing blew up.
Yeah, and then I mean, social media, FIFA Street, obviously, it put you on another level of
identification.
What can I say? Yeah, exactly. Like people had something to identify you with, you know, and it gave you that credibility.
Of course.
So that really helped. I believe it really helped in a lot of situations. But social media was one of the biggest drivers. Like if I didn't put my skills on YouTube, I would have got none of the opportunities that I've had. You know, actually, no, I shouldn't say that, because obviously I traveled previously, and obviously that was through the tournament playing in Cairns. So I might have had some opportunities, but not as many as I've had.
And again, like, I always believe that the gateway to a lot of exposure is the social media world. And I always say with you, if today's sort of social media exposure existed when you were on FIFA Street, it could be a pro and con in many ways. Like, there's always two sides to a story or to a battle. But I think one thing about FIFA Street, and this is where I think when I met you, I was like, oh shit, this is D10, like the guy from the game. So I think, I know in an Australian culture, football hasn't grown to that global flavor or sort of culture, as we say, because not many people, like in a room of 5, maybe one person will play FIFA Street. But saying that, when you went to Europe and did your stuff now growing up, I'm saying playing the game because not many people play FIFA Street, they played FIFA, you get me?
Of course. But you're saying in a room of 5? It could be more than that.
I'm just saying, in everyday people, like if you go to the local shops, not many people would have played FIFA Street. You get me? It's more just football people. But a lot of people don't play that play FIFA don't even like football. You get me? That's the difference between FIFA Street and FIFA.
Yeah, true.
So when D10 as a FIFA character came out, what was the experience like? I know I've watched interviews that you've done with your little short haircut that you used to have. How was that media engagement?
Do you know why I had the short hair?
Yeah. Why?
Yeah, the media engagement, it was new. It was different. It was definitely different. But the reason I had the short hair was because after you played your first game for this team in Argentina, Deportivo Caseros, as it was, they would shave your head. So at that point, I knew FIFA Street was coming out, and I kind of knew, I didn't know exactly what was in store, but I knew what was going to happen. And I thought, it's going to be photos of me with the shaved head, but it is what it is. You know, it's history now. So yeah, I will never shave my head again. Put it that way. I look terrible.
I just realized we both have the blonde going through our hair right now. That wasn't planned for everyone watching. Does look good, by the way.
This is some lockdown stuff. This is some. Thank you. Look, it's getting mixed reviews. My mum doesn't like it. My mum, she actually got. My brother's getting married toward the end of the year. Cross fingers. I hope it still happens.
Because of COVID, not because of anything else.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because of COVID. Yeah, of course. No, it'll definitely happen. Otherwise, if not this year, next. But yeah, my mum straight away, the first thing she said was, "Oh, you better have dark hair for the wedding. That's all I can say." And I'm just like, okay, if that's all you can say, then best to say nothing. You know.
So the media hype happened. Everyone was talking about D10. Was it an amazing experience in Australia, or did you sort of feel more connected with the people that reached out to you?
I felt more connected with the people that actually reached out to me.
Because the global game.
Yeah, it was much bigger. I mean, FIFA Street, for those that don't know, it was the #1 selling video game in the UK in 2012. So that was then, you know. It was not the #1 selling video game in Australia. And in order to find out that I was in the game, like, you actually have to play it a fair bit. And then to even know that I was Australian, like, you would have had to known who I was, or you'd have had to seen some kind of write-up or video, you know, or some kind of media release. So I felt more connected to the community or the people that reached out, which was social media.
And do people still hit you up now? Be like, oh my God, I used to play with D10 type of thing? Or like, how was the experience?
Do you know
now?
what? I'll tell you something, this is crazy, right? Because that kind of like slowed down, obviously. We're in 2020, so 2012 was 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Now,
time.
Just the other day, there was a guy from Canada and he was freestyling. And his name's Trixafa Techers, right? And he was talking to this guy at Magnet Freestyle. So they've got all these different names and stuff. It's all to do with moves and stuff like this.
Yeah.
Now, this guy, he was telling me a story about how he goes, oh yeah, and I talk to D10 sometimes, but and this guy apparently, this Magnet was like, really? Like D10, like not a D10, like a D10. And I left a comment on his Instagram. And he goes, oh man, I've watched your stuff and I played on Fifa Street, and like, so that was just recently. But he is also older, young kids these days no one's played Fifa Street. No one's playing Fifa Street. If you're 15 years old, I'm surprised if you've played Fifa Street. Very surprised. So it's kind of it's left that culture, it's left that scene. It's old news. It's gone, and you move on to the next one. But every now and then, little things like that happen, and that's nice. It's nice to hear that. So you still get that buzz from it.
Yeah, and I think it's everlasting. People will jump onto it in a couple of years. Like I was saying to you the other day, I bought those Nintendo games. So hopefully there's a bit of a buzz for Fifa Street.
I tell you what, I'm so looking forward to playing that Konami J-League striker game that you've got. That is so sick. Actually, we need to do another episode about this, and it's just about football titles on PlayStation or Nintendo.
We'll play all the games in one day.
People, like the kids now, don't understand, right? Right now, you've got Pro Evo, FIFA, and then you have a few other games that happen around that. Street Power Football out 28th of August. All right. Now,
I wasn't asking about that after.
We'll talk about it in a bit. But these other games, right? Like there used to be Alex Ferguson's Player Manager.
Yeah.
David Beckham's Soccer. Ronaldo v Football. Actual Soccer 1, 2, and 3. 3 Lions. Adidas Predator Striker. Predator Striker 98. Predator Striker. Yeah. Bro, like my head was just like, do you know how many football? Yeah. There was one called Libero Grande, where it was like the first be a pro kind of thing. Like you had one player and you play wherever you go, and you get marked on like your positional awareness, pass completion.
Oh, wow.
That was the first of its kind. That was out in, I reckon, 99, 2000. Mate, yeah. I cannot tell you the amount of games that I played on PS1 was ludicrous. I had so many football games.
I'll definitely have to check that out. I think that's one thing we'll do in the future. Once COVID sort of eases, we'll play an entire session of games. Now, talking about games, I know D10's still active in the animation universe. Now, tell me about this game that's coming out.
Yes, Street Power Football. It's something that kicked off in the middle of last year. I went to the Rebel Namo Junior 5s, caught up again with Sound Garnier, and we've always stayed in touch. We've always chatted because I did a little video of it on YouTube actually. Even though he's at like 4 million followers and like all the amazing things he's done with Neymar, Maradona, Pele, all the players, Lingard, Pogba, that's just to name a few. I'm sure I've missed some there. As I was saying, Sian's worked with some unbelievable people, but our career paths started in a very similar place. Like our YouTube was started around the same time, and our freestyle and our street football, we began at around the same time. So to catch up with him again in Brazil last year was amazing. And he said to me, like we started talking and stuff, and I think like he got to know me a bit better over the 10 days we were there. And then he messaged me when we were on the flight coming home. I was in Dubai and I got a message from him and he says, hey, look, I've got this project coming up. So this is last July. So it's been a while, that I've had this information. He goes, look, I've got this project coming up. It's something interesting. I would want to know if you want to be a part of it. It's for a video game. Now, I instantly thought, okay, this is like a mobile app, or it's like, that thing like Score where you just flick like this, And turns out he was talking about street power football. So I signed the deal for that in October. I was actually in Spain when it came through. Actually, no, sorry. We negotiated it when I was in Spain. I signed it when I got back because I don't have office works in Spain. Can you believe that? Unbelievable. You know, had to go to my office works. Yeah, signed that deal, and then I didn't hear nothing for like a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, this is interesting. Like, is this taking off? And then coronavirus happened, and I was like, oh man, is it really going to happen? You know, like, is it? Because I've had a lot of other things stop because of this COVID. You know, we've spoken about that before. And yeah, and then I just got a message from the guy saying, hey, we're launching the game. This is happening. Blah, blah, you know. So that's how that eventuated. That's how it came about. Again, social media, right place, right time, and the game. I think look. I never want to say something's better than another, but I really like this game. And the reason being is because the focus is 1v1, 3v3, 5v5, freestyle. It's got all the elements, the skills, the motion capture of that street football culture, you know, of the culture that's basically given me all my opportunities and allowed me to have the career that I'm having. So I think that in terms of that alone, it's very cool. It's very cool, you know, like even with FIFA having Volta or FIFA Street, there is still the football pros, you know, it's the pros. And there's like FIFA Street had 16 street footballers. There's more than 16 street footballers.
Yeah, and I was going to say that because FIFA Volta doesn't have a lot of you guys and girls that have worked your asses off.
FIFA Volta has three or maybe four street footballers, three street footballers, and maybe one freestyler. That's it. And the rest is like.
What a global game it is, and it doesn't give an opportunity, even download packs for, you know, not just yourself, but so many others out there.
It is what it is. You know, I thought that they were going to do a complete remodel, like throw FIFA Street into FIFA Volta, but it was something completely different. And also, like
that was the hype.
Was 8 years. Yeah, you know, that was the hype at the time. They did that. Like, I remember seeing Sport Bible release it, and I was like, "Oh, is this what's going to happen?" I got the really good feeling about it. And then it's funny how life works. You know, this is what happened instead. So
look, you never know. FIFA may come back, but then again, you got a contract with the new game, so who knows what the legality to that. And of course, D10 as a professional, but also as a name, as a business. So there's gonna be a lot of that talk in the future. But now with the game, it's available on PlayStation, Xbox, phone. Is that correct?
Xbox, PC, and the Nintendo Switch, which apparently you can like pull apart, do other things. You know,
Chantel's got that. And the best thing about will
Chantel get it? Do you reckon Chantel will get it?
I'm not sure she can do.
I heard she loves street football.
Now, the best thing about the game is hopefully it does bring yourself and many of the others in the game back on that sort of, you know, next generation to, you know, not just be a part of the freestyle lifestyle and culture, but you may influence kids out there because there's a lot of talent coming out. I see like, you know, Bex in Australia, but there's a lot of other young kids around the world that are getting influenced by both of the worlds because you growing up, I can already tell that coaches back then would have been so heavy on you about choose the green pitch, don't choose the hard pitch because you can't use the freestyle on the game day experience. And then I think coaches now are sort of allowing people to play football with a bit more fun. And that's what football is always about. It's a bit more fun, you know. Do you think that this is changing the culture as well and giving people like yourself the opportunity to talk more about what you did and, you know?
I think so. And I'll tell you, I've got a big story for this as well, but you know, all my big stories, I can talk a lot. Without repeating myself too much, I think that it is changing the culture and it does change it in a positive way. Because when I started playing futsal was like what you just did in summer, and it was for people that had retired or had injuries or couldn't play anymore, right? Like, and that's not that long ago. Let's be honest, that's not that long ago. And now people see futsal as like, okay, it's a pathway. I can have opportunities. I may not be making the kind of money and I may need to coach a team or I may need to do one-to-ones or I may need, you know, someone to help me out. I'm staying in their place or they need to give me accommodation or whatever. Like you may need to do those things, but you can still play in different countries. You can still travel the world. You can still have experiences where, like, you know, people wake you up at 2 a.m. to go and play a game. You can still have experiences where you are, you know, living 20 minutes down the road from Premier League stadiums. You can have experiences where you're trying new food, where you have to learn a new language, where if you don't learn the basics of a language, you know, you're not going to get by. So you have to, you know, and you also have experiences where you're away from family, you know, and where you have trying to fit into a team and having cliques and things like that, especially when people are speaking different language. Like, people don't realize how difficult that can be sometimes. But yeah, I believe that this is having such a great impact on the younger generation, because now, like, when kids come to me, I'm saying, look, even if you learn all my skills, it doesn't guarantee you're going to be professional. You know, you can be the best passer, the best striker of a ball. Doesn't mean you're going to be a professional. Like, there's so many things that have to align in order for you to become a pro. So my outlook is, why not be as good as you can be at your strengths, whatever that be, right? For me, that was skills. Yeah. So I made sure I was as good as I can be at skills. And then the rest, I'm trying to show how I can apply that to a game. I'm trying to show how I can give productivity to a team, how I keep the ball, how I'm good in possession. Because everyone will tell you that I am certainly not even a good defender, right? I can defend tactically, but in terms of like muscling people, slide tackles, things like this, it's just not me. I've never wanted to do it. I've never, you know, if you see me do that in a game, you know, I've mustered up some real willpower to do that, you know?
No, that's a big difference in futsal.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And that's the other thing. I think futsal really matched my abilities, you know, my skill set. And so did street football. As much
but also
as I
mentality and emotionally, because a lot of people that play the 11-side football are angry people because they go for the hack. But with futsal and technical football, like say street, it's all about, you know, there is the tough people that don't want to fight. But if you can talk with your feet, that's what the courts are about.
Yeah, look, it's certainly, I would say you get more of that in football, and it's simply because of its like the older, it's actually more traditional culture. But that's still in futsal, man. Like, you know, don't feel like that futsal will remove that, because that's there. Like, I remember my first game in England, we played against Manchester. We actually got beat 6-0. And even though like we lost, and I was really down that we lost, I felt I played well in that game. I had some nice moments. There was one moment where ball went 50-50 and I went to take the ball and the guy come through and went bang, lifted me up in the air, and I fell on the ground. I got back up and I started playing. And then some guy come past me and says, "Welcome to England." And I was like, all right, you know.
That's like a goal. Man. That's like the movie, Santiago Munea's goal. Welcome to England.
Yeah, look, not that bad. I wasn't on a muddy pitch and it wasn't raining. And the manager certainly wasn't on his mobile phone, you know. Mr. Dunhill. I don't know why he was on his phone, Mr. Dunhill.
Why do you remember
I love that movie. I love that movie, man. Anyway, yeah, not quite like Santiago Munoz, but it still happens in futsal, you know, to that kind of competitiveness, you know, it is what it is. We're competitive by nature, and if we can't compete in a technical sense, we compete in a physical, or we compete with the psychological, you know.
People, how influenced and where you've played across the world, because you have impacted and been impacted by a lot of places. So you started off in Australia, then went to Argentina,
Holland, Netherlands,
and then
Amsterdam.
After that, and
Argentina.
Tell us, just go by dot by dot. I'll just make a line and add them all in.
Ooh, okay.
Or your top favorites.
This is why I just say 5 continents. But anyway, all right. So let's go. Amsterdam, 2007. Argentina, 2011-12. 2012, USA, San Francisco, Pacific Cup. 2013, no travel. 2014, Spain, Catalonia. 2014, Poland, UEFA Futsal Champions League. 2015, I was still in England. During that time, 2014-15, I played in Scotland, Poland, and England. 2015, I came home. 2016, Melbourne. 2017, Melbourne. Mind you, in 2016 and 2017, there was events and there was things that happened here, which we can get onto. 2018, I'm trying to think. 2018, did I travel?
You went to the Middle East at one stage.
2017, I went and played in the Mini Football World Cup in Tunisia.
That's right.
2017, I went to Tunisia. So that's where Africa comes in. North Africa, for those playing at home. And then 2018, I'm trying to think. 2018, I went to Spain, but I didn't play. I went back there to, I did coaching. I was in Barcelona early in March. Then I went to the ESPN World Futsal Championships because I was talking with people from USA Futsal. I was possibly looking at moving that way. It didn't eventuate. It is what it is. And then end of 2018, I went on the La Liga experience. And also in 2018, we had the big Phantom Vision experience, which we had the D10 All-Stars play at against Melbourne City All-Stars. So that was cool. 2019, I played in the Rebel Nemo Junior, Brazil. And then again, I trained with a Segunda B futsal team at the end of 2019 in a different part of Spain, in Galicia. So yeah, you've got all those countries there. So I'm just trying to think if there's one that we've missed out. I don't think so.
No. And it just shows how much you've experienced from the journey you've taken on, not only just as D10, but as a footballer who's loved the game from a young age. And I think now, looking at your career, I know there's nothing you would change because you've enjoyed it, but is there something you would like to do in the future? Because I know, like, you know, playing in Brazil with Neymar and like having that experience probably put that excitement, and of course COVID now. Is there something exciting you want to do? Is there still the chance we can see you play professionally?
I would love to. And when you mean professionally, like you mean football, yeah?
Futsal, like futsal.
Oh, if I travel to play again, yeah, I'd love to play. I'd love to play futsal again. You know, I'm speaking with people about doing that, but COVID's kind of put a halt to that kind of stuff
for everyone.
Yeah, where that is, I don't talk about what I'm gonna do anymore. I talk about it when it's done. If it happens, we'll do another one of these for you. Yeah, because when I was younger. Like I've always told people things in like with a good feeling, you know. I treat people as I wish to be treated. And so if you tell someone something, I don't expect people to go and talk badly about it when it doesn't happen, you know. So that's why now, from learning, I've just been like, no, I'll talk about things when they happen. So,
but more than just an experience that you want to experience, like what's the future holding for you? Like, do you want to do more?
For me? Yeah, 100%. I want to travel again, and I tell people that openly. You know, I want to travel. I want to play in another country. I want a new experience. I'm always looking for that. I don't feel like I'm done yet, even at the age of 34. I don't feel like I'm done yet. It's what I've been looking for. You know, it's what I've been looking toward, while also running what is D10 football, the business, you know, which that encompasses club visits, academy visits, the 1v1 shows and skills, 1v1, one-to-one coaching, you know, with all this, again, skills-based, and the influencer work that they have. You know, while doing all that, I also want to be able to play, travel. So it's like, now instead of just going, like when I was younger, I just went. If someone gave me an opportunity, I'd be like, yep, bang, gone, you know?
No, it's a lot of planning.
I wouldn't even think twice. Now I think a little bit, but only because the things I'm doing now also I love and I enjoy. And not that I don't want it to stop, but I don't want to lose contact with people. I don't want to lose touch with that part of the community, you know? So I think that's one of the great things about futsal and street football is it gives you that freedom. It allows you to do that, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And look, like, we'll definitely make a few more episodes in the future. There's a lot of planning that you and I can do, from outdoor crossbar challenges where I'll definitely lose again, but also episodes where we can make Nintendo 64 games.
Don't know that.
Oh man, I'm gonna terribly lose again. But I've got two more subjects I want to talk about. But before we move away from the football, because I know there's a lot of you that I'd love to discuss, and there's a lot that you can say that inspires others. Don't feel like you miss out something, because we'll always make another episode. So for everyone watching, don't be scared to message Daniel, and he's always happy to reply. But is there anything you want to talk about before I move on to the next two subjects?
No, man, I think we've talked a lot. We've talked a lot.
I know. And look, I think the next two subjects, the last one's, of course, a kit subject. We'll keep it and wait for that one. But the next subject and the final sort of touch area I want to talk about is, how do you see just the world that we're currently living with social media helping footballers display their skills, but also portray the message as a professional? Like, I love watching your videos and stories because I know that you're either running or you're doing a workout. Like, even when you have a rest day, you talk about positivity and the mental side of things, because you got to stay focused. Do you think the internet's good for the kids, or do you think there's a good or bad way?
Man, that's got levels to it, that question. Because me personally, no, it's okay. Myself personally, I feel that social media is a fantastic tool, but I use it in a certain way, right? I don't use it to compare myself to other players or other influencers, or, you know, people doing coaching, or people doing street football, or people doing, like, you know, all the things I'm involved in, you know? I don't use it like that. I use it as a way to show a community what I'm doing, but not the community here in Melbourne, because they already know me. They already know about it. They already know what I'm doing. And they, you know, most have met me in person, so they already know that. I use it to show people outside of my immediate community. You know, like for example, if I post a video and it gets 200,000 impressions, there's not 200,000 people watching me train. There's not 200,000 people watching me do my skills. There's not even 200,000 people within my immediate community that would know about what I do. So in order to have that kind of reach, that kind of engagement with a community outside of Australia, it can only bring you more opportunities. That being said, you must do it in a positive way. You must. To make comparison comments, right? And we don't need to get into the nitty gritty, but even to compare and go onto someone's and say, oh yeah, look, I can do this. Look, watch my video. No one's going to go and watch your video because you've already approached it with that negative side, you know? And case in point, the people I talk to are the ones that come on and go, hey man, this is awesome. And I'm like, oh, thanks. I look at that person's profile. I go into their profile. I see their skills. I see their training sessions, you know, and I see what they're doing. And I'm like, I feel like leaving a comment. So I leave a comment. I engage with them. I talk with them, you know. People, the hardest thing for young kids is that I grew up on the pitch, practicing, no one watching. I already had travel opportunities.
Kids, yeah.
Yes, I already had travel opportunities before social media. Now, like when I started social media, it was a joke. People laughed at me and thought it was funny.
Stranger danger. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, you know, like they laughed at me and thought I was funny because I sat down and took time to edit kids' videos, you know? Like, man, maybe I was, you know, I was 19. I was still a kid. I was 20, 21, 22. You're still a kid, you know, really. Like it's formative adulthood, you know? Now, I had no idea that it would become this, that I would play in Poland in the UEFA Futsal Champions League, that I would have 2 characters in 2 video games. No idea. I have no idea that I would meet Neymar, you know? I have no idea about that. Now people start social media with that in mind. And that is a big difference, big difference. And this is why I always say,
100%.
focus on your strengths, right? Now, if you are a great free kick taker, show people your free kicks, and people do it very well on Instagram and YouTube. I follow a few. I follow the free kickers from, I think they're from Germany, and I follow one guy called iTechers out in the USA. His knuckleball is like impeccable, you know? And even Jonah 1-to-1, I like his content because he is awesome at like the pings, volleys, hit half volleys, free kicks. He's amazing at them. If someone come to me and said, oh, you know, Dan, I've seen you do that, I say, no, relax. Like, this is another level of the free kicks and that, okay? Now, this is where it changes, because people go on to social media, and instead of going, hey, man, you know what this guy's doing is really good, it becomes competitive, because now I want people to look at my stuff, and I want their opportunities, and I want to go where they've been, and I want people to see me, and I'm a much better player. All those thoughts and opinions, everyone has them. Everyone has them, because it's our initial reaction. We're in there, you know, like, oh, geez, I wish I was there doing that. That's normal. But all you can do is post and show people what you are great at, because people are going to highlight what you're bad at anyway. So you might as well highlight what you're good at, post it, and enjoy it. Enjoy that process. Like, you cannot put that up with the expectation that you are going to become a YouTuber, an influencer, a footballer, anything, you know? Yeah. And unfortunately, the way our social media is going and the way it's heading, even TikTok now, people doing like dropping the woes and all that kind of stuff. I just did a woe for you. I know you like it. That kind of stuff, people are doing crazy things just to get likes and views, and brands are buying into this.
I agree.
That's another conversation, because I feel that we're going to get to a point where, okay, I'm Puma. Do I want to be associated with someone who, shaves off all their hair and then does, 10 juggles or whatever and dives into a freezing cold swimming pool, or walks across coals, or and people are like, oh my God, did you see this? Do I want my brand associated with that? Or do I want this role model? Do I want this person who's trying hard and openly puts it out there that, yeah, I'm trying, I'm going for it, I train every day, I practice, and it can be anything. It can be artists, it can be musicians, it can be,
exactly. And that's the thing, like even in the photography industry, or football photographers, no matter what genre, if you're purely just trying to do social media just to get the end goal, which is play with Neymar, do the travel thing and show off to the world of what you've done, that's not what social media should be. And like to get to the point where you started a social media account without that ambition of being where you are now, but you started it purely just to show the world some of your skills. I hope that the new kids and the generation now pushing onto the social media is that they learn that over time things gradually build. And yeah, I think what you have just spoken about, where it's not about the end goal, it's about building and showing people how you got to the end goal. And that's the best part about social media, is like you can watch the progress. For example, if I go on your page from 2006, you said, and how you are now, like I can watch everything and who you are. So I do hope that kids and their social media accounts are respectful to their end game, but also their journey.
There's two sides to this though. And again, it's like brand getting involved, because as soon as it became monetized or a possible way of making a living, people start to look at engagement. Now, I don't know if this is common knowledge, but people always go, why is there no posts? Why has this person only got 3 posts? Why have they only got, 80 posts, but 300K, 200K, 100K, Like there's work that goes in. Now, if you leave all your best performing posts on a platform, your engagement is going to be very high, huge, which entail, it actually kicks the algorithm around because it knows you're popping out bangers, right? That's how it's seen. If you look at some of the street footballers, early ones, myself included, we have like 3,000 posts. Man, it's a lot of posts. I think I have like something like over 20,000 tweets. So in terms of engagement, it's horrible because there's stuff on there from way back when no one really cared that I was taking a selfie on Instagram. People still don't. I'll just add that in. Where you only got like 26 likes, 25 likes, you know? And so if I take those posts down, of course my engagement's going to go up. But if I leave it, people see the journey. And that's, I've explained that to many people. I'm like, look, this is a journey, you know? Here I had crooked teeth and like acne, and here, you know, they're slightly straight and I got blonde hair. So people need to be able to see that. You don't just go from being like 22 years old to, you know, here I am doing this.
Yeah.
And that, unfortunately, is the culture at the moment. It's like, okay, least amount
people
of
want
posts,
everything now.
very few following, but I want all my followers. Like,
and yeah, like I said,
you know,
everyone wants everything now. No one wants to work hard.
But and the thing is, you can't blame anyone for that. You know, it's the way the culture's progressed. Because
it is.
Put it this way, right? Again, when competitiveness comes into it, and you can look at it either way, but I think about this a lot because people always say the number one thing that is always said, that won't work in a game. So I've spent my whole career trying to show how it can work in a game and trying to teach others and them showing how it can work in a game. Yeah. It's like a bit of a vendetta, I suppose. Now I've got better at dealing with it as I've got older because now it's like, look, I am who I am. I am a street footballer. You know, I happen to get some opportunities in futsal, and I coach 1v1, you know, and my skills are my thing, and that's what I promote. And that's what I teach. So whether or not you believe it can happen in a game, okay? Now, let's take Zinedine Zidane, volley, 2001 or 2 against Bayer Leverkusen. Ball comes over the top from Roberto Carlos. That is a very low percentage cross, okay? It's like he just lobbed it up into the air. Now, go to your local park, throw the ball as high as you can in the air, and volley it, mind you, with your weak foot, as he did across his body. Bang, bang, bang. I can tell you now that I will play a game, and I will never do that in a game. I won't do it. It's not for me. One, I don't trust my left foot. I'm bringing that down. Okay? Secondly, it was like a moment. And Zidane, obviously, unbelievable technical player, had prepared for that moment. So to say that something doesn't happen in a game, it doesn't kind of wash with me, you know? Or to say that it won't happen in a real game. Because if the opportunity arises and you have the skill set, you know, you're not like thinking, oh, I'm going to do this. I want to nutmeg him. I don't think like that when I play. I have the ball at my feet and I can keep my head at a point where I still have peripheral vision. So things happen and you're just flowing with it. When you're at that point and it happens in a game, then all those people are wrong. You know, if we go now to the park and I lob you 50 balls, there's no way, actually, maybe you'll hit 1 or 2 like Zidane did, right? And you connect with it on your weak foot. So when he was practicing that, did people tell him it won't happen in a game? The issue lies in, it's a very simple technique to practice. I go to a wall, bang, bang, bang. And it appears as if everyone can do it. But it is highly technical. There is high detail to that technique of that volley. So if you're looking at ground moves, street football skills, 1v1 moves, you know, even looking at Cristiano Ronaldo, some people look at that and go, look, you'll never do that in a game because, you know, the opportunity doesn't come. To say that you won't do something in a game to avoid doing it is not a great attitude, you know? Like, I will not run non-stop for 50 minutes in a futsal game. A futsal game is 40 minutes. I still go for a run. I still keep my endurance up, my fitness, as well as doing all the short, sharp stuff, as well as passing, receiving, you know, shooting, practicing all those kinds of things. You still do it. Even though, like, well, why would I practice it? I'm not going to do it in a game. Does that kind of make sense? Do you see where I'm going?
Yeah, no, it does. And that's the thing. And like, once you do things over time and practice, hopefully it does become a part of you. But that's probably another subject we're going to have to definitely talk about. Yeah, it does impact the player at the early ages when a coach tells you something that isn't right, but you know that someone you've seen on TV has done that, and the only way to get that is by practice. But also, sometimes, you know, players that we look at now are idolized for things that aren't really taught, and then you think to yourself, but wait, you told me not to do that. You know, when Ronaldo was doing all those things and for Premier League, every English defender was just hacking him because they weren't used to a player that was technically gifted in a league that was so
in that way
non-fluent to that, you know, like he come from a Portuguese background, playing on the streets to, you know, the streets in the UK, much different culture, you know. That's definitely a subject I would love to talk to you about, just the DNA of Origin and the players' progression over time. But I have one more thing I want to ask you, and to end this whole conversation. It's going to be a really long one. I'm so sorry. If anyone's at the end of this video, thank you so much. But let's finish off the episode with finally something that I love, and that's talking shirt. What's one of your favorite football kits? What's something that holds close to you?
One of my favorite kits of all time is any of the Brazilian national team kit.
Oh yeah, that's like a simple way of going it.
Yeah, I love that jersey for what it represents, for what it means to me, and how in 97, 98, everything just changed for me, you know, like the airport advert came out.
I remember
and at that time I was watching, you know, it was Roberto Carlos, it was Denilson, it was Ronaldo, it was Romario. So all these types of players, they all influenced me heavily in terms of how when I found futsal, when someone brought futsal to me when I was younger, I already knew what it was, because I was like, oh, this is what the Brazilians play, you know? And some people just didn't have that kind of insight, because I loved those adverts and I loved that culture around it, and always being able to, you know, the highly technical gifted players, and players that could do something other than just kicking ahead the ball, you know? So that's why I say that Brazilian shirt, that still represents that for me.
I think the Brazilian shirt is a great choice, because for me as well, it just inflicts emotion, but also just the creativeness of Brazil. And I love Jogo Bonito when that came out, and the song, I can't remember it right now, but that sort of samba, and I just love the whole culture. Yes, I got that on vinyl. I think that's a great choice, and any kit from the Brazilian kit archives is simple, the beautiful color, and I love watching them. Specific number, specific player. You said Roberto Carlos, but specific number on the back?
Specific number is 10, obviously. I love the number 10. I like the traditional sense of a number 10, not the number 10s we would see now. Like, for instance, Harry Kane for me is not a number 10. Mbappe is not a number 10. Mohamed Salah is not a number 10. Ronaldinho was a 10. I'm trying to think of better examples, because you have to go back a bit, you know. Even Iniesta was a 10 in some respects.
Bruno Fernandes would be a 10.
Bruno Fernandes 10. Yeah, definitely.
Pogba,
and you could call
not reliable for number 10.
I was about to say, you could call Pogba a deep lying 10, because
sometimes.
Do you remember? I don't know if you remember watching Middlesbrough with Juninho Paulista.
Yeah.
So Juninho was a 10, and he'd sit between the strikers and midfield, but sometimes he'd come between the midfield and defence, and he'd operate in there, and it would leave massive holes everywhere. Like, he was a fantastic playmaker as well, you know. So the number 10, because of those reasons.
100%. And look, I don't own a Brazilian kit just because I think when it comes to kits, Brazilian ones are so special, but also it's just so hard to get a real legit authentic kit because there's a lot of fake Brazilian kits out there. I do look forward to potentially having one in my collection. But mate, is there anything else you'd like to touch bases on? Because I definitely want to make a future episode with you once again. Anything else you want to shout out? Any upcoming projects you want to give a quick mention to?
I got some kits here.
Oh yeah, show me.
I can talk about. So I don't know if you talk about training tops, but this one I got recently. Right, people will see this, and this is the Man City mid layer. Now I love these mid layers. I wish that companies would make more of these, and they would release more of these, because I know it's quite prevalent in Europe, but in terms of training gear, that stuff's amazing. So that's like my favorite mid layer at the moment. This kit is also another training one. But it's like a limited edition. We did the photo shoot for this one together, the Puma and Baller. And the reason I like this is because this was I don't know if it was a first, because I think it might have been that Palace skateboards with Adidas could have been. Or there's other collabs. But this was a really cool collab because the Baller brand I've actually followed for ages on Instagram. And it was started by, I think, one of the guys who starts 433 plus Elia from Holland, and there's, I think,
the other dude who plays in can't think of his name right now.
Van der Wiel? Is it Van der
Wiel?
Yeah. So those Dutch players, obviously street football, big Dutch influence. I started following Baller a long time ago, and when it collabed with Puma and then also with Griezmann, because I love Griezmann, love Barcelona, it just brought a lot of things together for me, and I really like that. And last but not least, I always like a Marseille kit. I feel like this club always has amazing kits.
Is that this year's kit or last year's kit?
This is last year's kit.
Yeah,
this is last year's kit, and it's just clean, man. It's just like nice,
love
white,
a good clean kit.
In summer, you can wear this with a pair of short shorts and shoes, and it looks cool. Do you know what I mean? As well as wearing
2020 looks nice too.
The current kit, I've ordered that one. I got it. It's on au.puma.com. Everyone can go on there and find your Marseille kit. I grabbed that one recently. So
beautiful.
Yeah, so just a few of my current favorite kits, and obviously I like Brazil kit.
When it comes to a Puma kit, you can't go wrong with this one.
That's nice, man. I really hope that AU Puma, if you guys are listening, I really hope that we get that one into the store, because that one's fantastic. Awesome kit. And I love that you got Haaland on the back too.
Yeah, I had to.
He's a great player, a great story as well.
I should have got Mbappe or Neymar on the back of my PSG kit up there, the new one, but I think Haaland Dortmund is special,
I thought you were about to go into, because we were talking about Dortmund. I thought you were going to say, I was going to get Neymar on the back of this Dortmund kit. I thought, are you predicting something or no?
No.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I've got some kits with Neymar on the back of PSG, and actually I've got from 2014-15 season. I've got Neymar 11 that I bought from the Bottega, which is just outside the Camp Nou. And I've kept that kit with me everywhere I go. Neymar 11. Kit. It's just a nice kit, man. Nice moment.
When you buy it in Barcelona, it's a bit more special,
That's exactly right. Yeah, it's just that it's a cool moment, I've also got a Coutinho with 15 on the back.
Cool.
When he had his first kit, when he came halfway season between Liverpool and Barcelona, I got a Coutinho kit there, which I bought from the Bottega as well. It just has that extra specialness to it.
So. I agree. I've got a few kits that I bought at the stadiums of the club, but mate, thank you so much for the quick chat that we had today. Again, to everyone watching, it's been a long one. I'm so sorry that if this ends up being a long 1 hour and a half chat, but then you can, if you have premium, you can watch this as a podcast. And I think after a few more episodes, I may turn this into a podcast as an audio file. So hopefully if you're listening to this in the car, please, thank you so much for subscribing. And if you can, please subscribe to both our channels. Dan, I'll put all your details in the description below. But to everyone else out there on YouTube, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for subscribing. And Dan, I'll see you in the future, mate. I'll definitely chat to you in the next couple of minutes via text. Mate, thank you so much. I'll catch you soon, all right?
Yeah, no worries, man. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on here.
Anytime, buddy. I'll speak to you soon.